You ever do something and think like, I have managed to do this in the worst way possible? That's sort of where I'm at right this exact moment. Okay, episode 2, nightmare. Nothing went right. This episode, that all changes because we're starting by cutting the subframe to clearance out for our transmission. We're gonna cut the subframe with this Ryobi cutter, and if this doesn't get it done, I have the full reciprocating saw. I got this on Amazon for like 30 bucks. So it's clearly a bootleg like Milwaukee setup, but the way you charge the battery is it's got this plug that you plug into the top of it. This is the kind of thing where 0% chance I would ever leave that plugged in unsupervised. Also, you're probably wondering like, hey bro, if you cut this, aren't you weakening the subframe? Good point. My plan is to make these cuts, and then we'll probably come back and just weld back up these two pieces of the subframe that are probably just spot welded together. So we shouldn't lose any structural integrity on this at all. It's not uncommon with engine swaps to have to do some slight modifications. In our case, the backside of the transmission is laying on top of the subframe, and we don't even have the engine all the way back. So we're just gonna trim the subframe out a little bit to get some extra clearance for our transmission. Yuck, but look at how nice that looks. I cut quite a bit off of this. Throw some paint on it, and it'll be good. This is sort of stage 1 trimming of the subframe because our mount's not here. So stage 1, step 1. Now's the fun part though. I'm gonna lower the car down. We're gonna wire it. The whole point is for me to be able to do exactly what I'm doing right now. I have our wiring here, and I can just just like that. The major difference in this car is going to be the pins on this connector right here. These both plug into the ECM, right? This one will stay with the engine that came in the Lupo. That's easy. This one is we're gonna have to pull these purple locks out, and we're gonna have to move some pins around. The little ones are primarily different, and with any luck, we get it right the first time. I also did something with ChatGPT that I'll show you in a little bit, but I want to get at least this harness out of the car. It should basically be this section right here. Honestly, the worry more than anything is getting all the wiring around the ABS module without taking it out, because I don't want to have to mess with these brake lines if I don't have to. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do the thorough wiring job that I want to and need to really without taking it out. So rather than taking the ABS module out, because some of these lines are unhappy, so I took the bracket out that holds the ABS module. I'm hoping this gives us enough wiggle room to deal with the harness. More work for myself than I already have, but I suppose that ship has long set sail. Now, if you're like, I want to know more, I did a whole video on how to do this kind of stuff. That's what you want. This is going to be a little bit higher level view. I have done about 90% of the wire swapping that needs to happen. The wiring harness for the original Lupo engine is completely removed. The main junction from the body harness to the engine compartment was super corroded. Now, I actually ran this in the sonic cleaner, and they came out pretty good. So while I still got a pretty good amount of work to do in the wiring department, Paul is actually on his way to give me a hand with some of the bigger stuff on this project. We got some major work to do getting the engine put in, getting the axles taken care of, brakes, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm gonna put the diagnostic cart back where it goes. By the way, home run on that thing. It worked so awesome being able to roll it right where I'm working. And hopefully we'll be able to get the engine all bolted up, coolant hoses done, and all to just immediately pull it back out so I can finish routing where our wiring needs to go.
Charles made me come back against my will.
You heard rumors of the full yeah.
Luckily, this full isn't very heavy, because otherwise it'd be full broken already.
Lightweight, super powerful.
So for comparison, this was the original Lupo GTI one. This is from another Lupo that isn't the GTI. This is the same hole. That one has 3, this one has 2.
The world's biggest ups to Mads, who goes by Lupo Jesus, for sending that to us all the way from Norway, I believe. That mount came super fast. That was not in our box of parts that was held hostage in Belgium for many days in customs. By the way, I also got this super awesome experience when the UPS guy came to my house and dropped the boxes, 2 boxes. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, you owe $486 of some sort of extortion. I had to write a check. Who does that? You also can see this giant split now in the subframe. Once we test fit the engine, we're gonna have to pull it back out and weld that shut so we don't just trap water and rust from the inside out. So this next part actually, out of all the things we've done, this next part should be one of the easier parts. Wow, that pivoted right in its place, didn't it?
Look at that. Is we just got the right thing, and then imagine that. It worked. It's here.
When you have the right deal and you properly lube it, slides right in. Check a look at the bottom.
Check out the bottom.
Check a look at the bottom. All right, this is actually huge. If you saw episode 2, the first half of it is nothing but Paul and I struggling, dealing with getting our engine in. Wrong mount, bad fitment, subframe in the way. This is an awesome moment because our engine is mounted in. We got a little bit of massaging to do still. Once we get the pendulum mount, this is all gonna swing like probably 2 inches forward. Our clearance here on the oil pan is gonna be perfect. Then we can test fit our new axles that we have, which are factory axles, I think, from a TDI Lupo.
I pulled this engine forward. Charles stuffed some blocks of wood underneath to get the orientation fore and aft of the engine. So what we're gonna do is sticking this in, and then we really wanna check the orientation, not only fitment of the actual axle itself, but how far it sits forward and backward. If you have a bad driveline angle, meaning the axle's tweaked too far this way, up, down, you'll end up popping axles. So we wanna make sure that this looks good and also obviously fits. First thing we're looking for is length. Is the axle too long to fit in the space available, which actually in this case, it is too long.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Are you serious? That's fine, because I think this side is too short.
It's like 2 inches away.
It's not even close.
It's not even close.
So the opposite problem is what I have on this side, the axle is too short. We have some other axles we can test fit just to see if we get any closer. Worst case, we take some measurements and we get some custom axles. We took several steps backwards, then we took several steps forwards, and now it's like, oh, you're here. Nope, bah! Back down the hill.
We're kind of not loving how the engine and trans are mounted in the engine bay because they are likely potentially to blow up axles and things like that. So most people at home would just send it and be like, if I blow up axles, great. We are trying to proactively avoid that.
Living la Lupo loca?
Living la Lupo loco.
Living la vida Lupo?
Living la
vida Lupo. I like that one better.
La vida Lupo?
Yeah.
So we installed a gearbox mount from a 6 and 8 valve, and it pushed our whole engine and drivetrain backwards, especially where we needed to for our really bad axle angle issue we had. But we're now working on this pendulum mount, getting the length right. We're gonna have to modify something and get something made. We also have a clearance issue up here. So this will have to get fixed because this power steering line can't do that. Honestly, you can get one made and just hammer the living crap out of it until it bends up. We need it bent, and we're gonna beat the shit out of it until it gets where we need to go.
Woo!
Yeah.
All right, so we got a game plan. First up, engine comes out. Then what we can do is we can recut the subframe. We need to go a little bit deeper in. And we have a power steering line that we have to manage as well. You'll see that a little bit better once this guy is out of the way. And this is probably not the last time it's gonna come out and go back in and come out and go back in. Remember how annoying getting like the Scirocco engine was?
Oh God.
Could you imagine if we had to do this?
Oh my God.
I'd quit. I would have just flown home and been like, sorry guys.
So Mark 1s are a bigger pain to swap because they don't have a core support that's removable like this. So every time you put the engine in and out, you have to do it from the top or the bottom and clear that, and it's such a pain in the ass every time. So this, if any of these cars that are more modern, you can just pull out the front and then move things in and out. Yeah, dirt, yeah.
Look at, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
I think that's we need to, how did that not catch on fire? So we have this precision engineered wood, and basically what we're trying to do is space where the bottom of the engine is. What we're gonna do is test fit our intake manifold, because if the hood doesn't close with the manifold on, I don't know actually what we're gonna do.
The pad is for sure
The pad
touching.
is laying on there. But
so we'll have to remove the hood insulation.
So this is as absolute low as the hood will go. And we got all
we're
room,
good.
Dude.
Oh no.
So Paul walked over here with the core support upside down.
It was upside down because when I couldn't grab it off there.
We're gonna put this on without the manifold. We know we gotta make cuts there. Paul picked the hard side.
Every time this hood cable gets me, this hood cable gets me.
Oh my gosh, bruh. I like all of that.
There's so much room for activities.
Remember we had the oil filter housing that we had to swap out? I actually think we might be able to put that VR5 one back on.
Love
with
that.
the cooler and everything.
Love that.
All in all, that's phenomenal.
We have our first cut. This is gonna be a long process of guess and check where we cut, check, cut, check.
Measure 0, cut 35 times is what he's saying.
Yeah. First place I'm gonna be cutting is right here where this intake manifold is touching. You know, it's funny, I did this same thing on the Jetta bumper cover when I did the Fast and Furious Jetta, and it took me about 5 hours to get the bumper cover fitted over the intercooler. But unlike most people who do Mark III intercoolers on their cars, it actually looks good, and most people just cut out this giant window out of it and stick the intercooler through the front of it, and it looks like absolute.
It's like fiber embedded. It's actually kind of hard to cut. So we'll let Paul slide on this one.
Once it gets cleaned up, that'll look actually really nice.
For now, I'm just gonna take this guy out. You change load, this rotates and lengthens or shortens the intake manifold runner. This is the cap that goes on the other side. So it supports the rod in the middle and caps off the other side. This is from an extra R32 intake manifold that I have. Check it out, boom, pops right on there. Bolted up, it looks cool. It's a factory solution. This is awesome. Do it for the gym bros, Paul.
Here it is.
On down.
No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna end up punching a hole in the radiator, trying to look like a tough guy.
It really does look good.
It
You
came
did
out.
a nice job.
I'm actually really happy with how it came out.
Despite our axle situation from earlier, I think we're in great shape. The core support is bolted up. Our air conditioning lines are on. We got to get a power steering line. That's not the end of the world. All in all, like Paul said, good day. We're a little bit of ways from actually installing this, but I'm so excited about this, I gotta show you now. So we had our calipers completely rebuilt and powder coated. It was gross and nasty, and this thing looks outstanding. We also have new pads and rotors. I'm very excited about it. I cannot believe how well these turned out. Our man Jeff hit a home run.
Stop bringing me garbage.
Yeah,
That's what he said.
Jeff's
Stop
like,
bringing me garbage.
Quit bringing me this.
It's gross, and I have to
baloney.
work super hard to make it look like this.
Here's a contact lens for you.
I was gonna.
Oh, a nipple cover? Gross.
The upper radiator hose is right here. We have to modify the end of this. We're gonna get rid of this 90 and put a straight piece in there. This is the lower radiator hose. It's gonna go from here. This hose is gonna get cut and reclocked. And then this hose, it's gonna go to this T-fitting right here. And then the coolant bottle will go on to here. A lot has changed. We've repurposed and reused a lot of things, and we've rummaged through Charles's plethora of hoses to find what we need.
Super good with that. So really we only have two pieces that we need to account for. The coupler on the lower rad and this upper hose. All of this, as of right now anyway, are factory Volkswagen hoses. I don't think it gets much better than that. We are gonna have to get some custom axles from Drive Shaft Shop, and here's what you need to know if you ever need to get custom axles made. They need to know the spline count on the end of the axle. They're gonna need the axle length, and then a lot of times, at least with Drive Shaft Shop, they know the hub diameter. They got all the information they need. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take this little tape measure, we're gonna go all the way through to the mounting point where the axle bolts up, and we're gonna take our measurement from the axle flange to the inner side of the hub, which is right about 28 inches. So there we go. That's what we be needing. Now, hopefully, they have the stuff to make these and can actually get them in time for us. Next up, nope, also nope. Also no, stop saying that, you ding dong. Then we're gonna take the engine out of our car. What we are about to do now it feels like the frickin' 900th time, is all this hard work that we did is going to be undone. Subframe needs to be fixed, wiring needs to be finished, but we know where everything goes. So when we do the next assembly, we should be good.
All right, now we're gonna be taking these brakes off and getting our new fancy ones put in place. To do that, we're gonna get our rotors off, we're gonna get our new calipers and carriers on that are fresh powder coated by my boy Jeff, and make it look beautiful.
This feels like the perfect time to give you an update on where the heck I'm at with the wiring and the car in general. This harness here is actually the factory Lupo engine harness. I did this in this manner so that whoever buys the engine has some reasonably sorted harness that they can then wire up to whatever car it's gonna go in. So really my next step is I'm gonna roll the engine back in and check all the wire lengths that I have had to manipulate. But if I can get the car started here in the next little bit, I'll get all this wiring tucked, looking nice, looking fresh. And at that point, and we can finally start to put this car back together for hopefully the final time. I ran into my first wiring issue. I couldn't talk to the engine computer, but the instrument cluster and the engine computer were talking together. So after some fiddling and fooling and talking to clusters by Litkey, I ended up just basically jumping the communication wire from the ECM directly to the data link connector, and now we have our engine computer talking. So we're gonna clean some of this up where even if I gotta make some wiring changes, nothing dramatic has to happen. Something we had identified early on in this swap is that we needed to address the shifter weight on this car. And while there's a bunch of other options, the thing that I opted to do was to just cut the weight off. This was actually a super easy cut with a reciprocating saw and didn't make a huge mess like it would have with a grinder. I also wanted to clean it up so there was no sharp edges, and then we can put it right back on. The only thing left to do here is put our cables on and adjust our linkage. Now you might remember we actually went back to the factory oil filter housing and oil cooler, but we had to clock the oil cooler differently. And in doing so, the who knows how old the gaskets are gaskets actually came apart. So I need to take the oil filter housing off and then put it right back on. Who remembers our broken fuel pump from like 10 seconds into the first episode? I do. While we have a fuel pump on the way, allegedly, I gotta get this car started. I got a little tube of tank weld, which I don't love, but this is what we're gonna do temporarily. The second I took the fuel line off, this guy came out. Oh, geez. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. This guy came out too. So we have a whole broken nipple to tend with. So this is a sleeve out of one of the yellow crimp connectors, and we're just gonna shove that in there. And now that we have a little structure here with this metal sleeve, I can slide it into the pump, and that'll give it a little bit more rigidity to hold with the epoxy. That's pretty much it. I'm not worried about coolant. I'm not worried about power steering. We're gonna handle those later. I do need to put oil in it though, now that I think about it. So I'm also gonna take the serpentine belt off. We don't have coolant anyway, so I don't wanna spin any of these accessories if I don't have to. Now's the time, friends. Now is the time where we need all of the good vibes we can get. So I want one mount in so that it doesn't go wobbling off my table here. It's Monday. I have to get this car fully back together. Because on Thursday it has to go to Miltech, Thursday morning. So basically Wednesday night this car has to be done. Doesn't have to run and drive technically, but if it doesn't run and drive when it leaves out of here, that means I gotta take all that crap back off when it comes back, and I will have exactly 1 day to do that to get ready to go to the show. So I'm not tweaking yet. We're not far off though. We're not far off. Right now I'm okay. It doesn't really take a lot of signals and all that to have the car start. A lot of it is like post-start monitoring, fan function, and that kind of stuff. We can't really do that till the car's a little bit more together than it is right now. But if I can put my foot on the clutch, crank, fire, we're good. Okay, our fuel line seems to be good. The lines went on fine. This is the point of this where my anxiety starts to ratchet up. Okay, I think I have everything hooked up. We'll find out what I missed here in a second. Also, unfortunately, Paul couldn't be here, but I know he's here with us in spirit. So everybody cross your fingers at this point because there's nothing to do but to try and start it. No? All right, clutch is in. Here we go. Okay. We got a crank. Hopefully that's enough battery juice. It wasn't enough battery juice. We know our compression's good. We should have air. We don't know about spark, and our fuel's leaking. So we're gonna test spark first. I pulled the coil out from cylinder 1. I got just another random spark plug in it. So that should spark while I crank. I can kind of see it. Is that sparking? One of the cool things about videoing everything you do is you can go back and look, because I couldn't see whether it was actually sparking or not, but in the video it was. So we have spark, that's good. We have fuel, maybe. We need to check that next, up at the engine, not just back at the back. So you can kind of see right there. Watch when I loosen the clamp. Actually, you can see right there. We got fuel. Some level of fuel anyway. With what seems to be enough pressure that it should be good. Injectors are another question, right? The other thing is there's this air line, but that shouldn't matter. That should still start the car. Oh. Oh, I think this battery might be the death of us here. All right, let's go get a battery. I think we've danced around it long enough. The Total Pro battery, the cheapest one I could find, was still $125. Oh, we got RPM. If it didn't sound like it wanted to start, I would really be backing up and like evaluating more. But see, it's just like, yeah, that close. I went with our scan tool and did what's called an output test. And when I sent the command for the fuel injectors to come on, I didn't feel any of these injectors actually clicking on. I know one of these wires in this 14-pin connector right here did power fuel injectors. So I'm gonna just try and start this bad boy one more time. And if it doesn't start now, I don't wanna talk about it. Come on, come on. Oh, come on, baby. Yes! Yes! Okay. I don't know why it's taking so long to start. It might have something to do with our leaking fuel pump. But she runs. This is awesome. This was the thing that I was really waiting for before we kind of finish all this stuff out, because obviously we can't just leave all this like this. And I'm probably gonna do this. I think I'm gonna leave the engine in. So if I put a jack stand under, support the trans, get this cart out of the way, I think I can manage with this wiring. It's super easy, a couple of connectors and we're good to go. I mentioned earlier we had some fun with ChatGPT and some wiring diagrams. Now this is the wiring diagram that I built, basically the same thing as I did for the yellow car, laying out all the pin numbers, what they did, what color the wires are, what size, and what the other ECM, in this case our VR5, would be, so I knew which pins to swap from this connector to that connector. But I also wanted to ask ChatGPT if it could tell me what I needed to do. And here's the pinout that it gave me, and some of them are actually right. This one is not right, because that is in fact ground, and as you can see, it says that we keep a lot, add from VR5 wiring harness. So it didn't give me great information, and I absolutely would not trust this to do my engine swap wiring, because if it gets sad, it gets real sad. But it does make me wonder, are we gonna have down the road where we can just ask ChatGPT, it'll spit out a document just like I made here, and you can do wiring swaps with it? It's such a cool thing to talk about, and if you wanna have that conversation, let's talk about it down in the comments. The next thing we need to manage is this. This is our power steering line. Now, we're gonna come out of the rack and go this way and across the front. That's how the Mark IVs go, right? Up over the transmission and around to the power steering pump. On my journey to figure out what the best high pressure power steering line is, I ran into classic forum type information. Some people say, if you don't use stainless steel lines, your car's going to explode and you're gonna die in a fiery crash. Some people say these aluminum fittings are totally fine and they've built 10 million cars and never ran into an issue. Obviously the truth is somewhere in the middle of that, but exactly where, I don't know. So this particular line and these fittings have a 1500 PSI working pressure and a 4500 PSI burst pressure. Part of my mistrust of information on the internet is I've seen a lot of people say, hey, you can do a thing and then it doesn't work, or we're gonna figure out whether this does work or not. With the banjo bolt in the rack, it looks like inside of here is a small valve or some kind of, I don't even know what it is. I couldn't find any definitive information on what that actually is. So if you know, drop that in the comments, because I'm not totally sure. While I was putting together the shifter stuff, I bumped into another issue, and on the Lupo slave cylinder was hitting this shifter cable. So I actually had a Mark III, which the bleeder goes back and out. It's probably gonna be a pain in the butt to bleed, but it fit much, much better, and it popped right on with the factory Lupo line. And hopefully this was the last issue that I actually have to fix, because I'm ready just to get this dang car put back together. I've spent the last several hours getting all the little knick-knacky fine details sorted, doing the wiring, redoing the wiring, doing the wiring again, redoing it till I'm happy with the way not only it looks, but making sure that it's not gonna rub a hole in our main power wire or something like that. But I figured before I start taking apart a bunch of axles, let's test fit, see how this one does. So this is the factory axle that was in the car that the transmission came out of. So we know the axle side should line up perfectly. The hub side won't. I'm not gonna be able to get it in all the way, but we'll be able to get pretty close. We'll swap out the new one and have a freshy joint anyway, so that they at least have something to measure off of with the exhaust. Worst thing is I'm out a couple of axle clamps, and that's not a big deal. I think it might be too long by, oh, the slightest of margins. I like this setup. And boy, if these control arms were, no joke, that much longer, or the axle was that much shorter, I think we would be able to make it work. Since I don't have an axle solution right now, I am just going to go ahead and get this bumper cover on. Oh, that fell right into place. This is the most complete this car has been in a long time. What I have left to do before they come get this car, I gotta put the wheels on, and then I gotta just kind of clean the interior up, and then it's ready to go. But let me show you something really awesome. Jeremy from Car Show Plates made these. How dope is this? So carshowplate.com if you want to get some plates, but this bad boy will be Live Laugh Lupoing right up on the front. We got the open air logo, we got my logo, and then the car actually is registered in Montana because loophole reasons, I guess. Couple of last minute details, including putting some coolant in this car. Here's my rigged up axle setup so that Miltech can do our exhaust. And then we are off to the exhaust shop.
Hey guys, Frankie here at Miltech. Just got in Humble Mechanics VR5-swapped Lupo GTI. It's gonna be here for this next week to get a little bit of exhaust work done so we can get this thing sounding right. Alex over there is going to be working his magic and doing a full exhaust on this bad boy so we can get it right for low show. Got end of the month deadline, so it's gonna be a little rushed around here, but we'll make it happen. Follow along for the journey.
How's it going, guys? It's Alex with Miltech here with a little middle of the project update on the Lupo. We got collector up there, downpipe right above me. Moving on back here, we kept the flex pipe and we got some O2 sensor bungs in there. Here we got ourselves a little resonator. We're gonna keep this thing nice and loud so we can hear all that 5-cylinder VR goodness. We've got a pretty tight area right here, so just getting all these little bits linked together to work around that. Got to drop down a little bit where the gas tank comes in here. About to get this all tacked up, and then we will start working up over this axle, and finally the back. Decided to stick a little baby resonator on there. This thing had, like, I swear, a 1.5-inch exhaust pipe from the factory. Tiny. Now we've got 2.5, so fitting it through there was a bit of a job. Straight back out here, we've got the classic GTI Lupo twin tips. Hopefully it sounds good.
Our car's back from Miltech. Super awesome custom exhaust. The tips, amazing. Obviously we have our graphics package put on it, and, oh wait, hold on. Let's make sure we don't have my address on here.
Put Charles' address out there. I'll
front and center.
Yeah, just
read it off.
Message me and I'll give you Charles' cell phone number and address.
Yeah. Okay.
I just felt like that would be a cool thing to do is all.
That's a lot of bucks you got there, buddy boy. He keeps trying. He's gonna get there. There it is. I gotta tell you, I adore this powder coat.
This is a nice powder coat.
So this rear bar, I think we mentioned it in the last video, is technically for an Audi A2, I believe. One of these two is the proper rear bar. I think we're actually gonna pause on these rear bars for just a little bit because we gotta get this car running. And then we gotta get it driving. So we're gonna do our fuel pump. We have custom axles that are awesome from Drive Shaft Shop.
Here's our axles, Drive Shaft Shop. They do a beautiful job of packaging their items. They box, and then inside the box is more cardboard, and they strap it inside there so it doesn't slide around. Look at that. New hotness, and then Ray's gonna show you old and busted. So Drive Shaft Shop is the same company that built the axles for the Jetta. These are pretty standard axles. The Jetta ones were not standard axles. I think they built them to hold up to 700 horsepower, even though I never intended on putting that much power in the car.
Paul's getting the wheels off and getting the stuff set up for us to do the axles. I'm gonna work on our fuel pump. I actually have one of the tools. Paul was saying he likes to joke in his videos that nobody has the tool or knows what it looks like. I'll be honest, the Universal one's not great, but it's not horrible either. So here's our pump. Oh yeah, this one definitely looks better than the one that's going in.
They both look like
I'm gonna power this pump real quick and make sure it works. Okay, it comes on. Here's our pump. We're gonna pump up the fuel. I got the new pump in, well, the used pump in. Paul hooked our battery up, let's see. Hey!
Hey, look at that.
The fuel stays where it belongs.
In the gas tank.
Paul and I are gonna do just one more shakedown of this car. Then we're gonna start it up legit for the first time. Here's our Miltech exhaust, just like it was from the factory, but these are a little bit more beefed up. Alex built from scratch this whole exhaust. They were like, Charles, don't ever send us another car again that doesn't run because we want to hear what it sounds like. I was like, valid. Okay, so we've done a big build. What am I looking for? I'm making sure we don't have any like severe fluid leaks. We want to make sure we got coolant. I have power steering fluid because we don't want to run our power steering fluid pump dry. I don't have refrigerant in it, but that's going to be okay. So just kind of an overall visual inspection to be sure there's not like a vacuum line loose or a coolant hose off. I just don't want to have a catastrophic problem.
I am really excited to hear it run. I'm not nervous at all because I didn't do any of the wiring work.
I'm nervous enough for both of us. So, all right, here we go. We've started it for like 1 second, but is the this is a really dumb question, but is the ECM there and plugged in?
Oh, I see the problem.
Do we got a ground off?
You got a ground off?
So likely I had disconnected that when I was rewrapping the wiring for the engine bay. Round 2.
Hey! It runs. Oh my God. It's so loud. It's so loud.
I am over the moon that the car actually started like once we fixed the ground issue. This car is so loud, right? So when I started it, I was sitting in the car and it was really loud. But then we shot a little clip to send to Miltech because they didn't get to hear it. Paul started it, I was out of the car. It's piercing. You're gonna be like, oh my God, here comes a really loud race car. And then you're just gonna see this tiny little Lupo just boop, 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 boop.
Now,
Meow.
we're gonna do axles and get these yucky brakes away. It fits. So what we're looking for really is that everything bolts up, most notably the ball joints and then the axle fitting in, but also it's seating properly and it's not like super binding in there, and you don't have to like force it in to try to get these ball joints to line up. Now we're gonna put our brakes on. I've already cleaned this brake rotor.
Did you clean it with your dirty gloves?
With dirty gloves, as much criticism has been rendered recently. I have to say that my gloves aren't greasy, they just have like stains on them. Like, it's not
trolls.
Yeah, so like, hey guys, I'm not like smearing oil all over things off of friction surfaces, it's just like a little bit of stuff.
Okay. Bleed brakes, bleed clutch, one more sanity check, then we drive it. We not only had all the brakes off, but I also had the ABS module disconnected, and I had to end up putting a new slave cylinder on it. So we are going to flush and bleed our whole brake system with this SL6.4 liquid moly fluid, 4 brakes, 1 slave cylinder. The other thing I gotta do while Paul's getting our brake situation set up is I need to make a hose that connects our valve cover to our little PCV heater on our intake. This is the hose that, if you remember way back to the engine build video, was completely crumbled and all of it went into the throttle body. So this is not the most elegant solution, but it's the solution that we have. While the car was at Miltech, I asked Frankie and Alex to like try and come up with an intake. And this is what they did. They put a filter on. But I got to tell you, it's like 95% perfect. I'm probably going to make a bracket of some sort just to bring this up.
He can design it on his own. I designed an intake mounting bracket for my intake on the Jetta. That's true. And then I had it made out of like 1/4 inch steel.
You made a 9-pound intake manifold bracket.
You could support the engine. The intake bracket that I made for the Jetta is as good as these engine mounts that are in this car.
Arguably, that might have been better. It had an extra support that this doesn't.
It did.
You look at this, shiny. So these are our custom Alterman wheels that we got specifically for this car. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put the wheels on, we're gonna go up, check and make sure we don't have any obvious clearance issues, and then we'll put it down and see what our fender clearance is, because that's something I actually am a little bit worried about. Hey, Paul.
Yes.
Does your wheel spin?
I don't know. Let me see.
Like on the back, you put the back on, right?
Yep.
Does that spin?
Yes.
Mine doesn't. Can
Okay.
you look and see if it's in gear? Like, open the door and see if the car's in gear?
Nope. In neutral.
I can turn it a little bit, but it's definitely not the bolts. All right. Oh boy. I see the problem. So if you look right here, you can see this witness mark between the axle and the hub. The axle is dragging on the hub, so you can see all the paint's coming off. I'm not gonna keep doing it. The axle's too thick, hitting the hub, locking the wheel in place. We measured, will you stop? We counted the splines, we measured the inner, and we measured the distance from the back side of the wheel bearing to our hub on our transmission. And I assume because this car was not available in the US, Drive Shaft Shop has no information about it at all. I guarantee you they've never made axles for a Lupo in the whole time they've existed. The diameter here is too big, and it's just grabbing onto the hub or to the knuckle and preventing it from turning. So when you're having something custom made like this, there's a bunch of factors at play, right? I'm gonna blame myself for this one for not accounting for that, because this is not a Drive Shaft Shop problem.
So we are going to have them corrected by the boys at Drive Shaft Shop, and then I'm going to have them ship them back to Charles so he can get them taken care of.
Now while Paul's working on that, I'm going to install our rear sway bar. I also have a bunch of other things to be sorted out. Also, I got home from a flight at like 7 o'clock this morning, so I'm real tired. Also, just for like your calendar countering, whatever, we have one more day to work on this car before we gotta load it up and head to the H&R booth. Now that Paul's gone, we can install our rear sway bar, and I'll tell you that's probably the last Paul installing a sway bar joke I'm ever gonna make, but I'll encourage you to keep it going. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a sway bar from an Audi A2. Installation, super straightforward. The ends bolt up where our shock absorbers bolt. We have new bushings, and then you have to use these clamps to go around the axle because this is a solid beam rear axle, which makes for a different style of sway bar mounting than something with an independent rear suspension. I'm really thankful that H&R was able to find us a rear sway bar solution for our Lupo. Now, when we last left our Axle Hero, the outer joint didn't fit in the hub. After a lot of deliberation and a lot of back and forth, here's a solution that we came up with. And what I'll tell you is Drive Shaft Shop generally does not do this because we're taking old parts and new parts and mating them together, and that's just not the best solution, especially when you're a business that rebuilds drive shafts. So they took the old joint, the one that was initially on our Lupo, and they mated it to the correct length axles. The unfortunate part is I didn't send 2 outer CV joints. For our right one, we still have the outer joint that was on it when we got it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna take the outer joint out of the new axle that we got forever ago. I'm gonna put it on this axle. That should complete our passenger side. Just a little bit more work to do. We're so close. Ready to be done with this though, that's for sure. Throughout the series, a lot of you have asked, hey Charles, why haven't you done fill in the blank? A good example is redoing the subframe, taking it out, completely redoing it, and having it powder coated. And that, my friends, is an awesome question. I just want you to know that if I could have anything I wanted, we would have done all that to this car. However, time and budget are kind of at their end. Listen, it's really easy to want to do all that stuff. Next thing you know, you're $50,000+ into a car that you never intended to be that far into. So maybe in the future we'll address some of those things, but for right now, we just gotta get this car done. For our dog bone mount, this is one piece that I had to basically re-engineer. Nothing from the factory, anything, actually just bolted right up. So what I did was I cut the bushing end off of the factory Lupo mount. Then I bolted up a Mark V dog bone mount to our O2J, made a spacer. Now our dog bone is this setup right here. And I'll be real honest with you, I don't think this is the permanent forever setup. I'm worried about how much tension is being placed in weak spots of this mount. But for now, for the sake of our drive, for the sake of it getting in the H&R booth, I think this is gonna be fine. Stuff like this is not my area of expertise, so feel free to criticize how bad it is in the comments. It's totally fine. I'm not gonna take it personal. Actually, though, what I will ask, if you're gonna give me a hard time about this, at least in the comments somewhere, give me some ideas on how we could make this better, because I definitely don't love this. But for now, this is gonna be fine. When Paul and I first put these wheels on, we had a couple of things we bumped into. One, in the front, you remember the negative camber was like 1,000,000 degrees. So I brought the top of the wheel out a little bit, and I also put some spacers on. One of the awesome things about H&R sponsoring this whole project is they have a full catalog of wheel spacers. So we did a bunch of test fitting, went with 15 mil in the rear and 8 in the front. And that's the last piece, the final bit. Now, oh, I do have to clean this stuff off the roof, I guess, but now it is time to get in this thing and actually drive it. Sick rips! And just like that, she actually made it. What a journey this has been. Look, we took a perfectly running imported special car, ruined it, kind of, and then made it running again, although I will tell you, it is most certainly not perfect. There's still a million little details to work through. The air conditioning may or may not work, I don't really know. I still have some wiring under the cowl to handle. We still need to put mileage on it. Our dog bone is still, I'm gonna just go for like an hour if you keep letting me talk about this kind of stuff. But here's the deal. This project has been wild, and like every project, filled with its own special weird challenges, from the engine in and out 100 times, parts availability, parts getting held hostage in other countries, tariffs, the whole deal. But the important thing is, it runs, it drives, it's right here. I drove it over here pretty much trouble-free. So even with all the challenges and everything we dealt with, it was still well worth it. We put together a pretty dope car, and I'm real excited about that. Now, there's no way we could have done this whole project without the support of H&R, Open Air Imports, Miltech, Liqui-Moly, Ultraman Wheels, and of course, our man, Paulie D. Sorry, Paul, for all the terrible things that we did to you while you were here. So this is also not the last you're gonna see of this car, because like I mentioned, I got a bunch of stuff still to button up, and we need to put some miles on it to make sure there's nothing else wrong. But in the meantime, I gotta get this thing out of here, load it up, and send it out to Pennsylvania.